Hey guys, what's going on at Tiny Farm today? Well, we're doing Christmas all over again. Yeah, I've got a utility grade turkey here that was sitting in the freezer. It's been there for a bit. And I thought, you know what? I think it's time. So I'm going to redo Christmas dinner. I'm going to actually have my homemade noodles that I didn't have at Christmas time. And with what's not eaten, because it's just Tubbs and I, what's not eaten will be going into the freezer. In the meantime, I've got some Amish white bread underway. Now, there might be some purists that say you should be getting organic birds and, from the farm. Well, we are working our way towards that. But you know what? That's not in everybody's budget. So get what you can, buy what you can on your income, on your budget. I just happened to pick this one up because it was really inexpensive, and I am going to use a syringe and some melted butter. Hush, hush. And I'm going to inject this bird and make it my own version of a butterball. All right, so the turkey has been stuffed. Now I've melted some butter. I have this injector. I'm going to inject butter throughout the turkey, and then what is left over of the butter, I'm just going to use it as the marinade on top. So as you can see, I'm just taking the butter into the syringe, just putting it into the breast, and I'm hoping for a nice butterball moistness. Utility grade turkeys usually are not the top grade of a turkey. Between that and the fact that it wasn't a spring chicken, it may tend to be a little on the tough side. So just taking a little preemptive steps here to make sure that it is tender. I'm going to inject the leg. This turkey was missing a drumstick, which is no big deal, because the meat, while I love dark meat, it's hard to get off of the drumstick. If any of you have any ideas about that, you can leave it in the comment section. I do love the thighs. They tend to be juicy. Getting down to the part where I can't actually get any more in here, so I'm going to just use the rest of the butter over top, and then I'm going to season it with salt and pepper and maybe some sage. And once the bread is done, I'm going to put this in the oven at 325 and let it bake. Next, we're going to make a 1-egg noodle, and it's a very imprecise and yet exact science. I wish Mom was here because Mom made the best, softest noodles ever. But I'm going to try to do it her way, and we'll see how they turn out. So many of you may not even entertain the idea of eating the giblets and the neck. But down home where I come from, this was part of making noodles or gravy at Christmas dinner. So what you do is you boil up this, make it into a broth, and you're going to use the broth for your base for the noodles. All right, this is a very imprecise recipe. One of the first things is you need a clean counter. So I use my own sanitizer that I make with bleach and dishwashing liquid and water, and then I've rinsed it off with water. So this is clean. This is about a cup of flour, and that's about what you need for a 1-egg noodle. What Mom generally did was she puts it on the counter like that, and we're going to make a well. And inside the well, we're going to crack the egg. All right, so we're just going to pull the flour into the egg. Try to keep this up in the hill. And don't worry, the counter will be fully sanitized afterwards as well for those of you who are thinking ahead. Now, I won't need all of this flour. Some of the flour will be used just to roll out the noodle. So I'm going to just pull all of this in here. This was always my favorite family meal. Was Mom used to do chicken, fried chicken. And she would boil the chicken first before she'd fry it, and then the broth was the noodle broth with the giblets, usually, that came with the chicken. But yeah, you don't ever put salt in the noodles because that will make them tough. This is just egg and flour. Okay, so you can see now I've taken what was sticking to the fork off, and now I'm working it with my hand. Now this is enough noodles for 2 people. Now normally I would make a 2-egg or sometimes even a 4-egg noodles when the kids are here. And we have some Austrian in our family, so my guess is that this is a form of Spätzle. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's kind of a noodle dish. And in that dish, the egg and flour mixture is really wet and then just dropped into water or broth to boil. So this is a little different. Yeah, I didn't really need a full cup there. That's okay. We'll use it all. I'll show you how in a second. Now we're going to roll the noodle out, and it should be as thin as you can make it. Well, not paper thin, but thin enough. As you can see, this isn't going to be a large amount of noodles. That's why having flour stored is something I would highly recommend, just because, bless you, it is very versatile. You can make your own homemade spaghetti noodles or lasagna noodles. You can make bread. You can make these types of noodles. You can make biscuits. You can make dumplings. And the only thing you need to do with flour is make sure that it is stored properly. So if you've got the capacity to freeze it, that's great. You can freeze it and then leave it in the bag. If you've got special containers for it, like plastic bins, that's also really good. You can put it into bags. Many ways that you can store this to keep it long term. And you can store a variety of flours as well. Now, if you look, this is very thin, which is good. Now, next thing we do, I'm just going to take some of this flour. We're going to put it on top. I'm going to roll it out just a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to do that. See, all this flour is going to end up in the broth. Now, because it's longer this way, I'm going to roll it this way. And grabbing the bread knife, I'm just going to slice these as thin as I can without being too thin. So probably around 1/4 inch is good. So once that broth is at a rolling boil, I've still got the neck in there, and I'll pull that out. But once it is at a rolling boil, I will take these noodles and drop it into the rolling, boiling broth, And I will make sure that I'm stirring and not just throwing things in really quickly, but we'll get to that in a second. So you can see this is making a fair bit of noodles. All right. Now you unravel the noodles. And what you're doing with all that extra flour is you're basically flouring them if they are still wet. So, all right. So we are just about ready here. Okay, so I've got a fair bit of flour left here, and I'm not going to throw that out. I'm just going to put this into the measuring cup. If my broth is not thickening up the way I want it, I will make thickening with what's left here. And there we go. It is a mess, but they're so good. Right. So now I'm just going to pull these noodles over. That is a nice boil. And we're just going to drop them in like that. Yes, it's a little messy. I'm just going to grab a wooden spatula. I'll give this a bit of a stir. Now that's a lot of extra flour here. I'm not sure I want to use all of it, but I will. I'm sorry for this mess. Look at that. But I think I'll leave it there. I'm not going to put any more flour in. The flour is the thickening. I'll just pull that off. A little lumpy. But these boil for some time, just low, just on low, and then a nice hunk of butter. My mom cooked with butter a lot, as you can tell. A nice hunk of butter and salt. So while it's boiling, a lot of the things that are lumps right now will dissolve. So I'm just going to leave that there. So the stuffing's ready to go into the bird, and my bread is on its last rise. So you can see this is thickening up quite a bit, and a lot of those lumps are gone. I haven't yet put the butter in. This is going to cook for a little while longer, and I'll season it with some salt and pepper and put the butter in it, and we'll be ready to go. All right. Though this is not Christmas meal, and it looks great. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.